Do you think that great sex means performing like a porn star? What if that script, nail it every time or you've failed, is wrecking your confidence? This video gives you real voices from real women, sex therapists, and the research, so you can hear what actually matters in bed, straight from the source. Because once you stop performing, you can actually connect, and that changes everything. I'm not even going to do much talking today. Instead, let's hear what women actually want. This video is a compilation of real voices, real data, and real experiences. Because if you can learn to let go of that old script, the one that treats sex like a stage performance, you create space for something different, something real, something that's probably going to feel really good in your body. And if some part of you is already resisting this, scoffing, eye-rolling, getting ready to click away to the next video, that's probably the same part of you that's driving the problems in the bedroom, which means this video might be exactly what that part of you needs to hear. The good thing is, you don't need to analyze this. You don't need to argue with it or even think about it much if you don't want to. Just let your body relax as you listen. Just let it in. Like listening to song lyrics, you can decide what, if anything, to do with it later. And if you'd ever like to talk about working with me live, just give me a call or drop me a note. I've helped a ton of guys over the past 20 plus years resolve their ED. Maybe I can help you too. Now here we go.
Most of our pleasure and our orgasms are going to come from a finger, mouth, toys, and you could have the best penis in the world. I'm sure you do. Your penis is amazing. But that's really not how the magic happens. But then we're centering it on penetration.
Sex would be much more pleasurable for women, but most people just think what feels good for him should feel good for her. You know, it's like an overemphasis on penetration. So I think like broadening the definition of sex to include more than just penetration, knowing what the clitoris is one of those things that really can take women's pleasure a long way.
That sex happens between a cis straight man and a cis straight woman and goes from making out to hand sex to oral sex to penis in vagina, PIV, penetration, and then ends with spectacular simultaneous orgasms. And that is a pretty limiting script.
Intercourse is not everything. If intercourse is all you think that this is about, you have some growing up to do.
Studies have found that women report faking orgasm during PIV intercourse more than during any other sexual practice.
What if that isn't the definition of sex? Because that's intercourse, certainly. And I do think that intercourse is an important part of sex, but it isn't the whole thing. Because if that's all that we think sex is, she could be lying there making a grocery list in her head, right? She could totally not be there. Her mind could be 1,000 miles away.
The assumption that vaginal penetration is the most satisfying sexual experience for women is simply incorrect.
So when a man takes the time to prioritize creating this sense of exciting tension in your exchanges, she's going to love it because she's seeing that you're focusing more on other needs of hers, and you can explore just more than just the intercourse of intimacy, but everything else. And the more she can fantasize and anticipate being in bed with you, the better.
75% of vulva owners can't have an orgasm without clitoral stimulation. And it's not that you can't use clitoral stimulation within penetrative sex, you absolutely can, but sometimes orgasm is going to happen at a different time than penetration.
More than 70% of the respondents did not climax from penetrative intercourse.
Sex, whether it be oral or anything else, is going to be more so that comes with the feeling and the emotion behind it instead of what's physically going on.
And like, how do we define sex? A penis going into a vagina?
Yeah.
Like, that's so 2010.
Like, if your vagina has never had anything in it, and then suddenly you've got a penis inside it, and you're not prepared because you've never like had anything, that'd be like a bit of a shock. That's why you should experiment, and there's steps to take before penetration, and penetration isn't the ultimate act of like doing sex anyway. And you know, for like a lot of women, maybe most women, they can't even orgasm to penetration. I think it's the majority of women can't. They need the other stuff done.
Standard penetration is how most men reliably achieve orgasm. The problem is, women don't orgasm this way.
Like play with her, do some things to like just more than just sex. More things. Yeah. Like it is more than just sex. Like I think that's what girls want.
Sex isn't just penetration. I think guys have got to get that out there. Yeah, because like that is really like a tiny bit of what this is about.
Yeah, she comes first. Make sure that she gets there. Do what you need to do. Do the foreplay. Do the arousal. Find out what turns her on.
PIV sex isn't like the goal of sex. It isn't what real sex is. And there's so much more to sex than penis and vagina sex.
We have such a huge focus on penetrative sex in our culture. When we talk about sex, we always think about penis in vagina penetration, which isn't the only way to have sex.
There is much more to sex than penetration.
I think a lot of sex, and don't get twisted, obviously penetration of vagina is amazing, but I feel like in some cases it can be overrated to the point that we're skipping all the fun and goodness of sex, which is the foreplay, which is the kissing, the talking, maybe the talking not for everyone, of course, not too much talking, but it could be the fun, it could be the toys. Not being open to that side is where I think some guys lack, and they just focus mainly on penis and vagina. And it's just like, there's so much more to sex, and and sex is not over just because you arrive.
Sexual pleasure for me is not just related to the act of penetration or stimulation of the sexual organs.
You don't want to get in and out in 2 minutes unless you're having a fun little quickie or something like that. If the goal is to maximize pleasure, you gotta play the game. Don't ignore things like kissing and touching and cuddling and breast play and neck licking and fingering and oral sex. Sex isn't just penetration. Play the long game. That's how you maximize pleasure.
One of the biggest mistakes men make when it comes to sex is going straight to taking clothes off and having penetrative sex. And that's because we're taught that penetrative sex is how we're supposed to have sex. We don't get taught that actually sex can include all sorts of different things, and none of those things have to be penetration. For women, penetration isn't necessarily the most important component of sex.
We must be curious and comfortable enough to work with the body to generate feelings of satisfaction and pleasure.
The limited definition of sex, however, that's in the sexual is the shadow. It's like, okay, sex equals, when it's successful, that there's been some kind of penetration, that we've done the thing until kabam, there's a climax. And then everything is right in the world. So a sexual needs to have sex to relax, whereas a sensual likes to relax first in order to have sex. So it's really interesting how those two dynamics can really play out in a relationship.
For some people, penetration is not what they're interested in, when it's actually like the default sex act that we just assume is what is real sex, or like going all of the way. There's like so much language and messaging around penetration being like the holy grail of sex acts, specifically penis and vagina penetration as well. I like that there's people out there who are just like, yeah, I could never have it again and I'd be absolutely fine. I'm like, good for you.
The famous corky does not represent pleasure. The way to reach the climax contains much more than penetration.
Did you know that for many women, sex is a trifecta of the physical, mental, and emotional? That's right, it's not just about the body. Psychologists assert that mental stimulation and emotional connection often play as a crucial role of physical attraction in a woman's sexual experience. So take time to connect with her mind and emotions and see how this three-pronged approach works wonders.
Sex can involve a lot more than just intercourse. Also, it's worth noting that for most women, penetration alone rarely results in orgasm. Clitoral stimulation tends to be required.
If this opened up something for you, I hope you sit with it, because letting go of the pressure doesn't make you worse. It frees your body to respond naturally on its own terms. And if you're ready to take the next step to start shifting the deeper beliefs behind the performance anxiety, check out this next video.